Good afternoon.
Radin.
Present, sir. Good afternoon.
Ruiz.
Good afternoon, sir. Present, sir.
Sabilyaga.
Present, sir. Good afternoon.
Unabia.
Good afternoon, sir. Olabia, present.
Villacora.
Good afternoon, sir. Present, sir.
Okay. Isa to'y wala si Miss... Ay, Miss Negro. What ka na-mention? Montejo. Lugo, Montejo, Negro. Sorry, I apologize. Montejo, Negro, no, Radin. Si
Okay,
Juan
sir.
wala.
No worries, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the understanding. Si Mr... si Miss Arofo, wala, no? Naa ba to, Miss Arofo?
Naa, sir.
Ay, sa itong wala ganina, ha? Aplikador, Venitas Cabajo. Cadiz. Miss Cadiz. Ay, naa ba, Miss Cadiz? Sakto. Miss Cadiz ang wala na ko ganina. Sige lang, wala pa siguro. Alright, so how did you find the article that I gave you? Anyone who would like to share their takeaways about or I would just say, the key concepts they learned from the article? What are these that you can share? Anyone who would like to share the things that you have learned from the article in relation to ecology? Anyone? What should we learn sa article on soil, plant, atmosphere nexus? So yung unraveling, no? Yung title, Unraveling the Effects of Climate Change on the Soil, Plant, Atmosphere Interactions. A critical review. What you mean learn sa kuan? Would like to volunteer? Anyone who would like to share? Tanan ba nakabasa? Kinsay nakabasa sa article? Si Magdalene. Nagkuhan naman si Magdalene. Indirectly saying na nakabasa. Abigail as well. Okay. Christian. Christian? Nag-raise kasi mong hand? Kasi nag-raise ka hand? Ha?
Napindutan mo, sir. Sorry.
Napindutan. So who would like to share anything that you learned from the article? What, Jude? Sag-usa? Nakabasa naman ka mo. Exciting actually ang paper, no? Exciting siya actually. Anyone who would like to share? Anything na inyong na-learn? Kung sa inyong na-learn from the paper? Anyone? Akong ipin. Na-pin ba ang kuan, ang screen? Kana. Na-pin, no? Alright, sige. So, what Joy gusto mo share? What we na-learn? Kasad po doon na, uy. Kasi nakabasa batanan. Kasi ito yung task na to sa kaninga article. You will be making concept map, mind map, no? Sige. Concept mapping, yes. So, all right. Sige, maybe I will just explore. I will just share to you things about the article, and I will be asking any one of you every now and then. Okay, so this is about the article that I gave you in relation to our discussions in ecology, especially the interconnections and the relationships, no, between the abiotic factors, how that influence the biotic factors. And this article is actually provided um, kind of an interaction between all these things. And okay, yeah, noted, Miss Cadiz, um, and in particular, zeroing in on the soil, plant, and atmosphere interactions. Okay, so practically highlights and abstract. Um, Obviously, as you if you actually read the article, the highlight basically is that the climate change disrupts the soil plant atmosphere interactions by, of course, in what way? By altering the soil structure, altering the nutrient cycling, and as well the plant growth patterns. Then, as the article stated, while elevated CO2, CO2 can initially enhance the photosynthesis, it also causes the nutrient limitations and shift in plant phenology. No? When you say phenology, what does it mean? What is phenology? So when you're doing a plant phenology, so what is plant phenology? Anyone who would like to share? Anyone? Okay, Abigail.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Can I be heard, yes, sir?
Yes, clear.
Hi. So, in the context of phenology, sir, I believe that phenology comes from the word well, phenomena, sir. But for like phenology in general is what I believe is the study of seasonal changes in organisms like plants or animals from year to year, or like the cyclic or seasonal natural phenomena. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So practically, it is related to the growth and development of the plants. So in this case, when you say climate change actually disrupts the plant growth patterns, and it says here that it actually results the elevated CO2 in the atmosphere results in the shift in plant phenology. When you say shift the plant phenology, it changes the timing of the recurrence of, say, leafing, the flowering, fruit production, and even these events influenced by the seasonal changes. No, so practically, when you say because nagtaas ang CO2, then there is a shift in the plant phenology. So it affects the timing of the flowering of the plants, for example, or kung kano siya mutubo og mga leaves. And even, of course, when you say nasa effect on the plant flowering, that you say definitely effect on the fruit production, no? Okay, from the flower, no, mag-develop siya into fruit. So if there is a shift, there is a change of the timing kung kanus ang mamuwak ang mga tanom, then na say effect on the fruit production and all the other important biological events in plants. So munang pasabot ani, no? Then it also um, says here that the elevation can actually affect, no, it in terms of nutrient availability, so that crops, both staple and cash production and cash varieties, are also highly vulnerable in relation to all these things. No? Then, of course, in the article as well, the abstract, no, basically the review of synthesizes the recent research on the SPI nexus. So that's why before I showed this, the article is very useful in a way in that it is a a review of recent studies on the relationships and the connections, relationships and connections between the soil health, the plant growth and development, and also the status of the atmosphere. Okay, and particularly the impact of climate change on the soil health, plant physiological processes, and the atmospheric composition. So it emphasizes the feedback mechanisms between these components and identifies knowledge gaps in predicting ecosystem resilience under climatic stressors. Okay, so what do you mean by feedback mechanism? Because ako mag-physics, no? Nakakuha mag-physics. Na ba may physics dito sa college or sa senior high? So in senior high, one system, at in physics, definitely you also talk about the behavior of a system. And there is what we call feedback mechanism. It can be positive feedback, it can be negative feedback as well. And since the environment, the biosphere, the ecosystem in general, and the biosphere, of course, ay kuan na siya usa ka system that we consider. Okay. So, another thing that I should want to emphasize about the article is that this is true with the rest of the scientific papers. Kana ganing konsepto of identifying the gaps, no? When you say identifying the gaps, that's the aspect of the focus of the study that has not been fully understood yet. And the kamo, mga budding researchers, and you become researchers as well, that can be your focus, no? Because science in general is built, no? The knowledge and understanding in science is built from the previous studies. And so this article highlights the not only those that we have understood already, so in muna sa itong nasabtan, so the article actually reviewed all the things that we understood about this nexus between the soil, plant, and the atmosphere. But at the same time, it identifies aspects of these things that we have not understood fully. And that's where researchers should focus their attention and their new studies as well to fill in these very important gaps to have a full view of the phenomenon as a whole. Okay, now, then of course on the introduction, it talks about the SPA nexus as a critical ecological interface, where soil, plants, and the atmosphere continuously interact. That also frames the climate change as multidimensional, multidimensional driver affecting the temperature, affecting the precipitation, affecting the CO2 level, and even extreme weather events, and thereby also altering the soil, plant, and atmosphere processes. And I hope, and I think you can now imagine how these things, the second bullet, how these things are operating in the real world, in the ecosystem as a whole. And as I said, when you say ecosystem, there are different levels. And for the, the delineation of smaller ecosystem is basically just for convenience because in reality, a a small ecosystem is actually part of a larger ecosystem wherein that larger ecosystem can also be is actually a part of a larger ecosystem like the biosphere as a global as a whole one specific ecosystem. And imagine about all these things when climate change is is here and is operating or is happening. And so it says that climate change as a multi-dimensional driver, and it affects the temperature. You see, affects the temperature of the ecosystem at a local level, and even in a larger and bigger level. It also affects precipitation. I think of last week or a few days ago, I mentioned about the connection between the Sahara Desert and the Amazon forest. So they actually are connected, and the changes in one area can actually affect the precipitation in the Amazon River, Amazon forest. I mean, so the precipitation and also the CO2 level and the extreme weather events. Kani extreme weather events become more frequent. Unsa man ang extreme weather events? Unsay pasabutan ng extreme weather events? Very strong typhoons, no? Or kanang prolonged na very heavy rain, kanang very very strong and heavy ang raining, no? That may actually cause flooding and thereby actually altering the soil health, and then as well the plant processes, physiological processes, and also the atmospheric processes. Okay, so the introduction actually highlights the need for the integrated research because disruptions in one component cascades to the entire system. Okay, so this is also an important concept. Now, let's proceed with the nexus. The article actually talk about the nexus, no, as a network of physical, chemical, and biological interactions. I suppose you have read all on this aspect as well, no? Then the soil provides nutrients and water um, to plants, and the plants regulate gas exchange and transpiration and atmospheric factors that influence both. Okay. Then stresses the changes in any one component actually affect the others, creating feedback loops. This this the first sentence, this one actually is typical characteristic of any system. No, like you say, feedback loops for in the ecosystems. So it can be vegetation loss, no, vegetation loss will reduce carbon sequestration capacity, which in turn accelerates climate change. Okay, so muna siya ang link between the three, soil, plant, and atmosphere. Now, climate change impacts on the soil dynamics. Can anyone volunteer in reading the first bullet on soil degradation? Volunteer? Okay, sige, Magdalene Turnbull.
Hello, sir. Am I audible, Ra?
Yes.
Okay. Soil degradation. Climate change accelerates erosion, salinization, and desertification.
Okay, so can you expand a little bit on that? Anyone who would like to volunteer when you say climate change accelerates erosion? In what way? In what way? Can anyone volunteer? Anyone? Sige. Magdalene. Magdalene ba to? Sino nag-volunteer? In what way? So,
Hello, sir.
yes.
Okay, sorry. Am I audible, Ra, ba, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so soil degradation.
Degradation.
Climate change accelerates erosion because erosion in climate change is that when erosion happens when there is extreme rainfall, then kanang mo intensify ang soil erosion and coastal erosion. This means if kanang katong something you said, sir, nga katong extreme weather conditions like kanang magka-typhoon or storms, maka-accelerate siya erosion that can cause the soil degradation.
Degradation.
soil degradation. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
And also,
Um, the certification, I think sa kanang kuan ni siya sir, ay something like desert,
yes,
something like
actually the development or creation or expansion of the desert.
uh, so kanang something like extreme heat nga kanang sa weather, it can cause desertification,
Mhm.
kanang mo drought ang soil, and this causes soil degradation.
Degradation.
Ay degradation. Sorry, sir.
That's okay. Yes, that's really correct, no? Okay, for example, in Cebu, in the recent days, I think a few weeks ago, weeks ago, we experienced prolonged heavy rains, and we experienced flooding, no? Especially in the northern part of the Philippines and the northern part of Luzon as well, even in Metro Manila. And that prolonged heavy rain caused flooding, and it actually accelerates erosion. No, so extreme weather event. That's an example of an extreme weather event. Prolonged heavy rains and even more frequent and stronger typhoons as well, and that actually accelerates soil erosion. Then you also have the concern on sea level rise. The sea level rise actually affects, no, affects the or I would say exacerbate or pasamuto niya ang coastal erosion. Kaya usual waving naman ay ka ng minimal coastal erosion. But if you have the rising sea levels, then that will cause an exacerbation or kanang mas mugrabe ang coastal erosion na to, no? And that will now, po tayo mga extreme events, na natin mga storm surges. And I think that the term storm surge is actually now part of our vocabulary, correct? Because of our most recent experiences on that. Then, kung naapoy ka ng mutaas ng sea level or I would say naay sea level rise, then naada yun tayo ma-encounter nga problem nga gitawag na salt water intrusion. Have you heard of that? The saltwater intrusion that is related to the contamination of seawater of our um, groundwater. Yeah, groundwater is very important ba sa ato ano nga like sources of our to our drinking water. And this is apparent in Lapu-Lapu City where kung magbomba ka din ha ka na ganing puso, salty imong water, though of course understandable po natin sa Lamak na kaya it's a coralline flat island, pero ang phenomenon of saltwater intrusion in some big islands like the main Cebu is a combination of many things. For example, sa Osaka area taas ang population, then you have sana siya kana ganing extraction, high settlement, daghang mga tao na, then kung daghang mga tao musaka man ang demand of kanang fresh water, di ba, then magpuso ta, magbumba ta, so we're extracting a lot of water from the groundwater, from the water table, and so mo gamay ang iyahang amount on that, so ang tubig sa dagat mo intrude there is sa inland, so naay contamination of salt water in the portions. And I think dili sa Cebu naabot naman siguro sa Lapas Kapitolyo na ang saltwater intrusion. I think muna siya ang current sa din sa Cebu. So naanay saltwater intrusion because of a lot of course that phenomenon is a combination of many factors, in that not only the sea level rise but as well the over extraction of the water of the ground of the fresh water from the water table. Okay, atong demand for fresh water is high, so sitag suction sitag bomba og water out of the water table, so it pushes the seawater into the water table. So sana isa ka factor, no? Then also desertification, no? Extreme and prolonged drought will actually contribute to the either the creation of desert for expansion of existing desert. And I think usa na sa mga circumstances nga gi-faced sa many 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 countries na a desert. Like China actually has a desert and they had a problem, the expansion of their existing desert. Though not a solution again introduced an aspect. But anyway, we go back to the topic. Climate change actually impacts the soil dynamics, no, in general. So that's soil degradation through acceleration of erosion, salinization, and also the desertification. Okay. How about the next one? Who would like to read the next one on nutrient cycle? Any volunteer who would like to read nutrient cycling? Yes, Nicole. Nicole.
Nutrient cycling, altered temperature and moisture regimes disrupt decomposition and mineralization rates, affecting nutrient availability.
Okay. So when we say altered temperature and moisture regimes, no, na may ana nga phenomenon, so that will also disrupt the composition, right? Okay. The process of decomposition requires a certain temperature and certain moisture. Why? Because decomposition is aided by microorganisms, and the temperature and the moisture affect the the process of decomposition by these bacteria, for example. And also, um, and so in that way, it disrupts the process of decomposition. And if it disrupts the decomposition, it affects the cycling of the nutrients from the kay, all the cycles. If you recall, the four slides that I showed, all of those cycles involve microorganisms through decomposition. And also, of course, some organisms were fixed, some organisms were transformed with the aid of these microorganisms. So that affects the decomposition and therefore affects the nutrient availability, which is also the same as the effect of temperature and the moisture on the mineralization rates. No? Meaning, it affects the how fast or how uh, basically how fast these minerals are are transformed into available forms, thus affecting the nutrient availability as well. Okay, so how about the soil carbon? I would like to volunteer on this. Yes, Kent.
As for soil carbon, warmer temperatures and changing moisture conditions affect carbon storage, potentially turning soils from carbon sinks into sources.
Okay. So can anyone expound on how climate change affects soil carbon? When you say carbon sink, unsa may you can use your AI. What's the difference between carbon sink and carbon source? Sink source. Carbon sink and carbon sink. Kinsa I would like to share their unsay ilahang nakita when they consulted AI. When you say carbon, okay, Miss Villacora and Mr. Terence can also add.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Based on kanang result sa AI, sir, kay ang carbon sink is something nga mo takes in o mo store og carbon from the atmosphere. Then kanang ang carbon source is mo ang mag-release og more carbon into the atmosphere. So ang carbon sink is simply mo-absorb og carbon and ang carbon source kay mo emit og carbon, sir.
That's basically it. So if there is climate change now, so if there is warmer temperature and changing moisture, so potentially turning the soil from carbon sinks into carbon source. So what's the implication of that to the dynamics of the atmosphere and the soil as well? Unsa man? Anyone? Kaya kaya giingon ni Miss Kuan, ni Miss Villacora, that when you say carbon source is basically the um I would say the sources, no? The carbon source, it's the ones that the soil is producing carbon to into the system or into the atmosphere, no? When you say usually carbon source, it emits more carbon than it absorbs. Kung manay pasabot, no? Kay mo tayo mong giingon gaya na Miss Villacora, di ba? That the carbon source releasing car- carbon dioxide. So if the soil, no, instead of uh, instead of that being a carbon storage, because the temperature and changing moisture conditions, now turns soils from sink to source. Ang sink magud is absorbing the carbon dioxide, so mahimo na siyang organic matter ang uban carbon storage for thousands of years and millions of years. So you can imagine if climate change, because of the warmer temperature and changing moisture, changing, shifting the soil from storage to source, from sink to source. So what's going to happen with the concentration of carbon in the atmosphere? So what's gonna happen now? Diba? I go back to the definition. When you say carbon sink, it's the type of area or the soil, as you may, no, it absorbs more carbon. Actually, a carbon sink can be an ecosystem, a part of the ecosystem. For example, there are some ecosystems that are actually carbon sink, meaning that a big portion of that ecosystem absorbs more carbon than it releases. Then the implication of that, if that part of the ecosystem is absorbing a lot of carbon, then it actually reduces the atmospheric carbon dioxide. In fact, the forests, now most of the forests basically are playing that role, being a carbon sink. Also the oceans, also those kanang atong gitawag na mga peatlands, no, and even the mangrove forests. So practically these are carbon sinks. And carbon sources, no, example ana is deforestation as a process. It actually burns, no, it burns organic material, releasing the CO2. So those areas actually that are highly, with areas with high decomposition rate, so they are carbon sources, that those part of the system that emits more carbon than it absorbs. Excuse me, because I'm too big. So what's gonna happen? Sorry. So so one of the implications of warmer temperature and changing moisture conditions on the carbon, the effect of the carbon storage. More carbons are emitted, mostly in the form of CO2, into the atmosphere, and it will exacerbate the situation. Um, kung mas dagang CO2, di ba, mas warmer na noon the effect na siya. The greenhouse, the CO2 is basically considered as among the greenhouse gases, so there is a greenhouse effect exacerbating the problem. Now, the paper also talked about climate stressors and the plant responses. No, it talked about the physiological responses of the plants, and highlighted in the paper, elevated carbon dioxide may increase photosynthetic rates, but can lead to nutrient dilution in plant tissues. And another effect is the phenological shifts. Earlier in the highlight in the abstract, I think this was also mentioned, and phenological shifts have been observed when um, because of the climate change, no? The climate stressors. And so changing the flowering and fruiting times, no? Which actually disrupt ecological relationships. In what way? Kung unsa man ang kinsa man nga other biological entities, I would say, or the insects, for example, kung mag-shift ang timing sa flowering and fruiting, unsa man nga mga organisms are affected as well when the plants shift the timing of the timing of pollinators, correct? No, pollinators. Um, may imagine mo murag ma disoriented ang atong mga butterflies, ang mga insects, even the bats, no? Okay, at night the bats would actually fly to some say farms, for example, in or mga plants para sa ilahang sources of food, and they also have their own timing of eating, feeding, and if the plants would shift, then all the others in the web, no, in the food web would be affected as well. Okay, mag-shift man ang plant sa iyang flowering and fruiting. So that definitely will disrupt the ecological relationships. Then, drought and heat stress, the effect of the drought and heat stress kay would reduce siya sa biomass, no? Alter the root to shoot ratio and weaken the crop yields. So, nasa muna yung physiological effect of the stress, no? Drought and heat stress. Then that will also affect the species distribution. Shifts in temperature and moisture cause the changes in plant community composition. Now, on the atmospheric alterations, greenhouse gas dynamics, climate change increases the atmospheric CO2, the methane, the nitrous oxide concentrations. So this one will exacerbate the greenhouse effect, mas mo warmer. Then you also have extreme weather events such as floods and storms actually would disrupt the relationship between the disrupt on the nexus on the interaction between the soil, the plant, and the atmosphere, no, and hence that kind of nexus, no, supposedly stable because of the extreme weather that will disrupt the stability of these interactions. Then you also have the feedbacks. No? Reduced vegetation cover increases the albedo and the surface temperature, while altered transpiration patterns impact the local climate. I believe that when we heard about the emergence of this climate change, the term albedo effect has already been mentioned. Anyone who would like to share what is albedo effect? Any volunteer? Consult your AI. Anyone who would like to share? Unsay response sa inyong consultation with AI? Wala yung nakakonsult sa inyong AI. Okay. Sige, Miss Joanna.
Good afternoon, sir. So, according sa AI, sir, albedo effect is the way Earth's surfaces reflect sunlight. So, light-colored surfaces like snow, ice, or clouds have high albedo, and dark surfaces like oceans, forest, or asphalt have low albedo.
Okay, so in combination, like when you say albedo effect, so that's basically the amount of the light being reflected back into the atmosphere. Then at the same time, you have increased have increased concentration of CO2, increasing the greenhouse effect. So what's the situation now? Increased albedo effect and surface temperature, then you also have a high concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The combination of the two. So what's the situation now?
Sir, napaka sir.
Sorry, nawala ang internet for a while, so I'm back. I'm sorry, na disconnected ko. I go back to asa na gani ko ganina. Sige ko wait lang. Nihang. Oh no. Ay, okay. Okay na. Okay. All right. So yeah. So yeah. Clearly defined naman to no kung cell albedo is the amount of
Light effects and absorb.
sunlight or the light energy that is reflected back into the atmosphere. Supposedly, it really such as a space. And so para ang temperature within the biosphere is within the tolerable limits. Okay, so saan na to? I lost ko for a while. Yeah, so basically that's that. Now we proceed with the next one. Hindi man ko ka. Kamu. Then you have the soil plant atmosphere feedback mechanism. So earlier we mentioned about the feedbacks, no? But at the same time, within the system, then you have the positive feedback loops that can actually exacerbate the degradation. Kung diri, we mentioned earlier na kung taas ang pag-reflect back of the light, kaya wala na vegetation. And then also have um, this high CO2 concentration on all other greenhouse gases that will also block the heat, block the light to be released to the space, trapping within the biosphere, within the atmosphere. So it increases the temperature. So the positive feedback loops are exacerbated, can exacerbate degradation. It will further result into the loss of vegetation, which actually leads to erosion, and then further reducing the soil quality and the plant growth. Diba? Kaya kung if you go to the mountains, to the farms, kung mas taas ang kung mas prolong ang heavy rains, prolong heavy na, then prolonged pagyud, that will cause flooding, then it will result further erosion. Grabe ang pag-strip of the soil no in the farms. So ang nutrients will be carried with the runoff, and that area becomes less fertile. It's thus reducing the soil quality. And so kung low or poor ang soil quality, it will definitely affect the plant growth. So that's the feedback, no? The feedback mechanism. A negative feedback side can somehow stabilize the system. For example, increase plant growth, enhancing carbon sequestration. If you notice, at a global scale, there are several areas that actually kung yan shift gani sa temperature of the percentage sa una, dili pa kaayo maayo ang iyang precipitation in that particular area. Then suddenly na siya precipitation na. Then that will transform the area into a different biome. And so this kind of feedback as well, affected by some events in other areas, will increase plant growth, then enhancing the carbon sequestration as well. So feedback intensity actually depends on the ecosystem type, the climatic conditions, and of course the management practices. On this, you can Google, you can consult AI in relation to um, the management practices that countries actually um, do to respond to this kind of the feedback mechanism. For example, in Japan, what they did in the past, because they observed that their desert was expanding, they introduced thousands of rabbits. Ano kahatong rabbits? Anong rabbits man? Anong rabbits man? Don't know. Anyone? Hindi na ko kabalungan nung actually wala pa na ako nakita lang nato ko somewhere that China to address expansion of their desert, they actually introduced rabbits. I do not exactly know if that approach is scientifically proven, but that's how they they responded. Giyaduhan lang ko though of course introduction of beaver in some ecosystems enhance um, the the ecosystem. But kato weird lang. But I try to Google if China did that. Try daw og check if indeed China introduced rabbits to address expansion of their desert. Can anyone share what they found? Unsa may yung nakitaan? Okay. Yeah. So can you share more about it? About the that approach by China, the introduction of rabbits to try to address. Um, yes. Okay. Yes, please, Nicole.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Yes, based on what I searched, sir, kay China indeed introduced rabbits as part of their efforts to combat desert expansion. And then, pili daw nila ang rabbits, sir, to promote vegetation growth and improve soil quality. The idea
Mga
was
ilang
that controlled grazing by rabbits could help manage plant species and contribute to soil fertility through their droppings. And then rabbits can also help disperse seeds, potentially aiding plant propagation. However, rabbits reproduce quickly and can overgraze, damaging vegetation instead of helping it recover. And then in some cases, their introduction led to worsened land degradation, accelerating desertification instead of stopping it. And then,
okay. Pero what
I'm not
happened to that? What happened to what the China did? Was it successful? Was it successful? Also may update on what they did. Actually, di ilang thousands ilang release na rabbit, no? They actually released how many? This on your search? How many rabbits did they introduce?
1.2 million, sir.
So imagine they released 1.2 million rabbits in the area. And unsay update, what happened to that strategy? Was it successful? So I want you to read more about it. So basically, going back to the discussion, um, in this kind of situations, understanding the nexus, understanding the system as a whole, and understanding important components and understanding the interactions can actually help us design management approaches, no? And so that's something that we also need to remember. And understanding this kind of interactions, the feedback, for example, not only the feedback relationships, but the intensity of the feedback as well is also an important information that we need to understand for us to be able to draft or to craft um, good management approaches. Okay, implications for agriculture. Crop productivity, particularly for staples like rice and wheat, is definitely threatened. Diba? If you go back to the previous slides, if you recall, then that the climate change actually affects the physiological processes, the timing, no, the plant phenology, and so it will definitely affect the productivity of our crops. No? Then also, climate change will impact, the climate change impacts can lead to food insecurity. Okay, na may effect on the availability of food that we can produce to the crops. Unless, of course, unless adaptation measures are implemented. So in relation to the possible impact of the climate change to our food security, what possible adaptation measures can we implement? Anyone who would like to share any? Kung saan ka developing varieties, for example, of rice that are um, um, maybe that's one. Okay. The question is, given the impacts, no, kind of second bullet, given the impacts of climate change to food security, what possible adaptations can we implement or adaptation measures that we can implement? Ang iyang target now is the food security. So what approaches can we possibly implement to address that? Kinsay ganahan. Kinsay ganahan mo share. So muna siyang question. GMO, yes. GMO is of course one approach. How about other approaches? The GMO perhaps will take a little bit of time developing new varieties that can, be more, can produce more, and at the same time can uh, so ganito, the GMO, yes, or varieties that can produce more and wherein the plants can survive with can survive and respond to the climate change stressors, no? So those are the few things. Mitigation and adaptation strategies, no? So would like to read? Anyone? Yes, Victoria. Victoria, you would like to share? Maria Victoria, the aquaponics, yes, yes.
Ganahan ako mo add atong previous question ni Sir Fred. Pwede mabasa na lang sa kuan ni.
Ari, o sige, mutubag ka o mabasa pud ka.
Sige, okay, sir. Since like ang food insecurity kay musta man sad siya sa lack of resources nga pwede matubuan og food, pwede ang aquaponics, sir, because dual ang iyahang production of yield sa area while maintaining like a small amount of land lang, like sa gamay na area.
Yes, that's true. That's really true that aquaponics is another venue for increased enhanced food security. But currently, what are the challenges about aquaponics? Current experience. Also, may challenges sa aquaponics. How about the cost?
Need high maintenance food siya, sir, kay you need a right balance para sa health for both the fish and the plants.
Yes, that's really true. It actually has immense contribution to the food security, no? Because pwede man ka mag-small backyard, no? And for aquaponics, you can actually produce high-value crops. For example, you just have to balance that out because the preparations for aquaponics is kind of expensive as well, no? Orasan na siyang usa ka challenge. But of course, it is one venue that can help in the food security, though the poor and the vulnerable members of the society may not be able to afford that for now. For now, mo po na siya. But it's a very promising area for addressing the food security. On GMOs, I go back to the GMOs. That's also a promising ones and worth investing by the governments. And of course, for rice, for example, there is IRRI. Kaba mo sa IRRI, no? IRRI, International Rice Research Institute. They are developing new varieties of rice that can survive under DIVUCAD. What is DIVUCAD? So ito na sa itong mission vision, itong DIVUCAD. Sa na DIVUCAD, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, or sa paganito. So, ito na ito ang DIVUCAD, disruption, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and diversity. Muna siya na, nasa itong mission vision sa university na, di ba? Preparing the university under DIVUCAD. And so, in a way, I would say that preparing not only akong gilig sa to ang mission vision and preparing the university for DIVUCAD. That's the same with the dynamics that we observe in the real world. In particular, the impact of climate change on ecosystems. That's basically DIVUCAD. Ecosystems. So we need to prepare and develop and many agencies developing new varieties for these plants to survive under the DIVUCAD conditions. No. Then I think Miss Victoria, you also are volunteered to read.
Yes, sir. So
mitigation. Mitigate, sige, please.
Sorry, sir. So for number 9, mitigation and adaptation strategies. Mitigation is reducing greenhouse gas emissions, enhancing soil carbon storage, and promoting reforestation. While adaptation is developing resilient cropping systems, using efficient irrigation, improving soil fertility, and improving soil fertility management. And it is also integrated approaches are needed to strengthen SPA system resilience. Ow.
Yeah, so especially the last bullet is very, very important. We actually now have some mitigation and adaptation strategies that we employ, but at times, dili integrated atong approach. And that weakens in a way the approaches. Kaya dili man ta holistic, dili pud ta kanang integrated ato ang approaches. Nindot unta to ang approach na to gani kay maka we also employ the concept of ridge to reef. Familiar mo ng ridge to reef model? Can anyone share what is ridge to reef model? Ridge to reef model at the same time holistic and integrated. Consult AI what is ridge to reef. So ridge to reef model. Ako na i-type. What is that? Who would like to share? I ridge to reef. Ano wrong? Anyone who would like to share what is a ridge to reef approach? You can always, if there are things that you need to you need to know, you can always consult AI. But of course, it's more on helping us understand things. Ridge to reef approach. Okay, Nicole.
Ridge to reef approach, sir, is an approach that connects ecosystems from the top of the mountain ridge or uplands all the way down to the coral reefs and coastal waters or the reefs.
Yeah, so basically muna siya ang usa ka model, and that model, if you use that model, you will be forced to, integrate the different approaches for each level from ridge to reef. So if they are interconnected, then the whole project is holistic. And if it's holistic, it's better, no? It's stronger than piecemeal. I think na ito'y kanang usa ka post si Shell ba na? Shell joke, no? Yeah. Or even in Metro Manila, ingon siya, wala man di ay tay kanang integrated master plan for flood control. So imagine yun mo si Cebu City na sa gihimong iyang own flood control master plan. Na po iyang lahi disconnected na flood control master plan ang Mandawi. Unya si Talisay na po sa iyahang kaugalingon nga dili po connected sa master plan sa Cebu City. So what's gonna happen with this flood control? Nga these areas are continuous man, di ba? Kay mayingon kang si Mandawi naaman siya kanang sa Cebu City na siya kanang boundary siya ang iya within ang iyang jurisdiction is na ay mountains ambot sa Busay, di ba? Sa iya Busay ang iya pong mountain slopes o mountain ang iyang terrain are actually connected to the mountains, to the jurisdiction of Talisay. So if you use the ridge to ridge approach from the highest peak of the mountain to the reef, then dili siya connected sa master plan of Talisay City nga naapod sa iyang mountains na connected sa Cebu City. So dili gani siya kaom nga dili mo succeed ang plan sa Cebu City kung isolated siya sa plan of the adjacent municipalities. Okay? So, it's very important that our approach should be integrated to strengthen this kind of resilience for the soil, the plant, and the atmosphere. Like soil, kung dili connected ato ang approach on farmlands in the mountains, so it will not become as as effective and as successful kung integrated sila. No? The flood control, and then soil quality, and then it affects the plant growth. Then as a whole, and for this particular article, it emphasizes the nexus between the soil, the plant, and the atmosphere. Then it hopefully will contribute to strengthening the SPA system, strengthening the SPA system resilience. All right. Then, so the paper concludes that the SPA nexus is central to ecosystem function and climate regulation. And then it also concluded that the climate change disrupts its balance through multiple pathways, making a holistic and cross-disciplinary research very crucial. No? Very important to remember. No? Crucial ang holistic approach, crucial ang cross-disciplinary research approach. Cross-disciplinary because the understanding of the ecosystem actually involves several disciplines, not only biology, not only ecology, but as well chemistry, but as well physics, but as well governance, no, and but as well behavior of communities, behavior of the people. So it's basically cross-disciplinary. Then understanding the feedback mechanisms is key to predicting and managing the future ecosystem responses. Okay, so muna conclusions sa paper. Key takeaways. Key takeaways of the paper. Okay, I would like to read. It's basically under kind of self-explanatory, so I would like anyone to volunteer to read. All right, Miss Galarido, sorry. Miss Galarido?
Sir, am I audible?
Sorry, Mr. Galarido, okay?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Just read, right?
Yeah.
The soil plants atmosphere nexus. The SPA system is an interconnected network where soil plants and atmosphere conditions regulate each other through physical, chemical, and biological feedback loops. Disturbances in one component propagate across the entire system, affecting the ecosystem stability.
That's really true. So I think that's clear, as part of the takeaways of the paper. The next one, I would like to volunteer. Yes, Miss Zarina.
Hello, sir. So for second one, climate change disruption, temperature rise, and carbon dioxide increase. Elevated carbon dioxide can temporarily boost photosynthesis but often leads to nutrient dilution in plant tissues and shifts in phenology, flowering or fruiting times. Altered precipitation, changes in rainfall patterns affects soil moisture, nutrient cycling, and plant water stress. Last, extreme weather like floods, droughts, storms, and heat waves degrade soils and damage vegetation structure.
Hey, sorry, na-disconnected ko. So what is it again, Miss Zarina? Sabi na ko si Miss Zarina Pupul, ako man yan na-disconnect.
I-read na ko, sir? Or ano?
Ang second bullet lang.
Ang second. So,
I think nakuha naman, clear naman to everybody ang the first one, no? Which actually affects the plant tissues and shift in phenology. Then altered precipitate. Na-read na sad na, no? Okay.
Yes, sir. Narinig na po sa tanan, sir.
Ang tanan. All right. So that's basically self-explanatory. It's a repetition of what we discussed earlier as takeaway of the paper. And it's very important to re-emphasize that. Okay, thank you very much, Miss Zarina. How about on the impacts on soil dynamics? Yuko, oh no. Yes, Yuko, oh no.
For the impacts on soil dynamics, first is the soil degradation, accelerated erosion, salinization, and organic matter loss.
Ay,
Nawala, sir.
awa. Sorry. Naputol akong usa ka kuan.
Okay, sir.
Nawa connection. Alright, sige. There you go. For the soil degradation.
Okay. Balik ko na ko, sir, or sa second bullet?
Second,
Okay, for the second bullet, kay nutrient cycling, disruption of decomposition and mineralization processes, altering nutrient availability, and for carbon storage, risk of soils shifting from carbon sinks to carbon sources under warming.
Yeah, okay. Next is on the plant physiological and ecological responses. Anyone who would like to volunteer? Okay. Magdalene. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So for plant physiological and ecological responses, for stress responses, drought and heat stress reduce biomass, alter root-shoot ratios, and lower yields. For species shifts, climate change drives changes in vegetation composition and geographic ranges. And for phenology changes, mismatches between plant cycles and pollinator or consumer activity.
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, you were able to identify this before, getting mismatch between the plant cycles and pollinator consumer activities. Next, on the atmospheric alteration. Anyone? Nicole.
Atmospheric alterations. Madungog ko, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Atmospheric alterations. GHG feedbacks. Reduced vegetation cover.
What is GHG? Greenhouse gases.
Greenhouse gases feedbacks. Reduced vegetation cover and altered transpiration increase local warming and disrupt precipitation cycles. Second, albedo changes. Vegetation loss increases surface reflectivity influencing climate dynamics.
Yes, it's true. No? Albedo changes and the greenhouse gas feedbacks, no? The effects. So, mura siya mo exacerbate, mura siya ka ng mas mo grabe ang iyang effect. All right. So, thank you very much for that. So, on the feedback mechanism, who would like to volunteer? Erica, yes.
Feedback mechanism. Positive feedback, it amplifies change. Soil degradation results to reduced plant growth, and it also results to less carbon sequestration and results to more warming.
Yes, therefore, di ba, kay mo increase ang imuhang kuan, less ang carbon sequestration, mas taas kapon concentration of the greenhouse gases. So, ang greenhouse effect is mas mo grabe, so becomes warming. Feedback, okay, negative feedbacks.
Negative feedback stabilizes change. Increased plant growth in some areas may sequester more carbon.
So that's basically more about feedback mechanisms. How about on the agricultural implications? Anyone? Kasi pailain nga itong wala pa naka-volunteer. Clarence Goria.
Major crops like rice, wheat, maize are vulnerable to SPA disruptions, leading to yield losses and food security threats. Staple and cash crops respond differently to climate stressors.
Okay, yeah. So major crops in Asia, for example, rice and maize, no? And in the northern in western countries, usually they use the wheat. So these become vulnerable to the disruptions or the nexus of the soil, plant, and atmosphere. Then staple and cash crops respond differently to climate stresses. Thank you very much for that. Now about mitigation and adaptation strategies. How about the mitigation and adaptation strategies as part of the takeaways of the paper? Anyone would like to volunteer? Okay, aplicador. Mr. Aplicador. Asa naman to nawa? Mr. Aplicador, tapos later si Mr. Limoran.
Good afternoon, sir. Mitigation, reduce greenhouse gases emission, enhance soil carbon sequestration, restore degraded lands, adaptation, use climate resilient crops, adopt efficient irrigation and soil fertility management or integrated management, combine ecological restoration, sustainable farming, and policy action.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? Then, as a whole, on the concept, no? Key concept takeaway. Kasi gusto mo basa ni. I would like to read. Itong si Mr. Limoran na siguro to, no? Yes. I miss Limoran, sorry. Yes, please.
The SPA nexus acts as both a buffer and a sensitive indicator of climate change. Disruptions can trigger cascading effects that undermine ecosystem resilience, but strategic management can strengthen its capacity to adapt and mitigate climate impacts.
Okay, so this is as a more some kind of a important overall concept of the paper, no? That the interaction, the nexus. When you say nexus, I mean at the very start it talks about nexus, the term nexus. When you say nexus, what does it mean? So the soil, the plant, and the atmosphere nexus. So practically it's about the link, the interconnection between the three. No? It acts both a buffer and a sensitive indicator of climate change. Okay. And as stated, as read by Ms. Limoran, disruptions can actually trigger cascading effects that undermine the ecosystem's resilience. But strategic management, dili siya ingon nga, okay, problema na siya. However, strategic management can strengthen its capacity to adapt and mitigate climate impacts. We understand sorry kayo disconnected na sa hindi sa kapit na tamahuman. Almost there. So yeah, so that was the key takeaway, no? Key takeaway of the paper. Understanding the system as affected by climate change, unsay effect of the climate change to the ecosystem. However, that can be addressed through strategic management. Okay, then um, then I will. The next slide actually is supposed to be there na. Salamat. I can share. I will share this material later on, but I just want to show you the. You know what? So many. The there. Show you this next slide. This one. So linking the concepts and the findings. Sorry, pag-type na ako. Findings with the formation of biomes. So it's very important also to remember all these things actually. The first one is soil plant atmosphere nexus, no? So siya ilahang connections, all these were discussed with the paper and we discussed beforehand as well. Ang iyang connection to the formation of the biomes or so balances, no? The balance of the SPA interaction determines the availability of water, nutrients, and energy that actually define the biome productivity. And at the same time, the species composition. Disruption alters the biome structure and the function. How about temperature rise and CO2 increase? The temperature and atmospheric CO2 levels are major biome defining. When I say biome defining, meaning influential climatic parameters. Shifts can cause boundaries between the biomes, temperate to subtropical, to move poleward or upward in the elevation. So there will be, kung ma-change ka ng precipitation temperature, it will change the kind of biomes that we found. In the previous meetings, I showed to you the locations of deserts. I showed to you the locations of the different biomes of the world. That's the current. But in the advent of the changing environment, these locations may actually change. No? Then you also have the altered precipitation patterns. Rainfall amount and seasonality are key biome classifiers. So shifts can convert grasslands to shrublands or savannas to deserts. No, there will be conversion from one type of biome to the other, possibly due to the altered precipitation patterns. Then next is so soil degradation. The soil quality determines vegetation type. Degraded soils may only support drought-tolerant biomes like the desert steppe instead of more productive ones. So changing soil quality will actually may likely to convert one type of biome to the other. Agricultural vulnerability, so expansion or contraction of the agricultural biomes, most likely, most of the time, anthropogenic ecosystem. So when you say agricultural biomes, because that's agriculture, often that is called a human-made ecosystem. So it will likely impact the natural biome boundaries through all land use changes. Then you also have the nutrient cycling disruption. Nutrient-rich soil support dense, diverse vegetation, such as the tropical rainforest that we have here in the Philippines and in neighboring countries, which are along this strip of the tropics. Then, while nutrient-poor soils under stress shift towards sparser biomes like tundra, like semi-arid regions. Then the next one, on the carbon storage changes. Reduced carbon storage will lead to vegetation loss, influencing biome transitions and toward those with lower biome density. So it's 422 na. So basically, if you go, I will send this. Please go through reading all these. Kaning sa first column, these are the concepts and findings in the paper, mentioned in the paper. And the next column is an emphasis on how these things affect the formation of the biomes, or the formation or the conversion, converting from one type of biome to the other. Okay, so dapat ang previous pod, no? Conversion or conversion. I leave you. I would like to show you this one. So basically, it's shifting. It's a poor, poor, poorly made. Sorry, kayo, poorly made image of the representation of the concept of shifting or conversion of one biome to the other because of changing precipitation and changing temperature. No, sa una polar siya, polar. So muna ang mga shifting into these areas, no? And from savanna, mahimo na siyang desert, all this. So that's a shifting of the type, shifting of the type of biomes. Okay, that's all for this afternoon. I will send this to you later on, and I hope this slide or discussion for this afternoon help in in understanding further the paper, and at the same time our concepts in ecology, especially in relation to the biomes. And next meeting tomorrow, we will further discuss about the realms and the biomes as well, how they are classified, no? And hopefully we can finish that tomorrow as well. Okay, that's all. And thank you very much for attending the class this afternoon. And again, wherever you are, you take care always. All right? And for the tasks that I gave you, you can help each other. Okay? If you feel that if you feel that your group or you have challenges in making the tasks, you can always ask help from your classmates. You can always message me on some clarification on how I can assist you. So this learning in the university, I would hope that it's gonna be a class effort of furthering our learning. We should help each other. We should support each other, and as an individual learner, we should also try do our part in reading, in doing the task, so that we will learn. Okay, thank you very much, and take care always. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Take care.
Goodbye, sir. Take care, sir.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Take
sir.
care always.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. It was good, sir.
Get well soon, sir.
Bye bye.